Welcome back to Noodletown. So this week we'll be starting a new series called New Arrival Previews, where we preview the new arrivals. Hey.
Wow. Very, very self-explanatory.
Alright.
Kind of, dang, who thought of that one?
Yeah. Oh, that's me. So Jackie, which novel are we doing this week?
So,
Alright, we'll be doing the Rebirth of the Godly Prodigy. Alright, so a brief summary of this novel. You can find it on Webnovel, and it's basically a modern / system type novel with tons of space slapping and a very funny narrative. So the MC basically transmigrates to a weak and impotent body that has a pinky-sized penis. But good thing is he's now the son of a super rich family with a massive wealth to squander, and he was blessed with a system that rewards him for spending money. Well, now isn't that everyone's dream, except I do see it being a bit difficult to get some of the plot and character development in under this kind of context. But the author seems to be doing a pretty good job, evident with stats on Chinese platforms. So yeah, the novel started in early 2014, and then it's 1,315 chapters, and it's finished. And each chapter is about 2,200 words, so that's about 11 spirit stones per chapter if it goes to premium. And Atlas Studio is doing 2 chapters per day, so that's actually pretty decent release speed. And for stats, we will be mainly using the QQ Reader platform because QQ Reader and Tidian are both owned by China Literature, and QQ Reader gives a more comprehensive stat. And it's also China Literature's primary window and reading platform, so it's going to have more exposure. So, of course, these numbers might be pretty significant in the English web novel community, but the Chinese web novel market is much bigger. Yeah, so to give you a better idea on what those numbers mean, since most of you came to this channel because you read the novels translated by Noodletown, our flagship novel, My Youth Began With Him, it has 13.5 million views and 38 million people added to their collection. Yeah, so it's about one collection per 0.35 views, which doesn't make sense. Yeah, so My Youth Began With Him is a special occasion because the novel got popular on another site. So some people, like after they downloaded QQ Reader, they just added to their collection but never read it. Anyways, stats-wise for the Prodigy book, it's actually pretty solid. Also, in the future, when we have more episodes up, you will have a better understanding of what those numbers mean, so we don't have to constantly refer to MYBWH. So for authors, there's level 1 to 5, and then there's God level, and then there's Platinum level. Okay. So this author is God level, and back in 2014, I think he was one of the earlier ones that started writing this kind of system / wealth squandering novels. And then the Chinese reviews went through them, and they're a little bit mixed, but it's mainly positive. All right, so Jackie.
Alright, so up to now, there's 24. I read up to chapter 24 on Webnovel, but I think it's a little bit past that now with the 2 chapters per day release. So in the beginning, the guy just he is getting an arranged marriage to one of the smartest, richest, and most goodest in bed girls in the world. I don't know how the third quality got attributed to her name, but it's not a cliche thing where like the girls, pure and everything, right? Because you have to have experience.
No, someone has to qualify you to be the best.
So someone has to give her the certification.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah, and then the story moves on to a school scenario, and that's where the translation ends off. So the story didn't develop much, but we got to get a first look over the characters. The main character, the author gives him a pretty high intelligence. He's able to infer everything almost too much, I think. Like, it's almost like he's getting cheat codes. There's also one of his servants is basically Google, like pulling numbers out of her ass when it's asked about the land value of the surrounding real estate. Lastly, the parents are shown to be very supportive of his spending habits. Not much challenge going on there, but we'll see if there's any more conflicts that develop in the future. There's not much. There hasn't been a main villain or even a goal specified in the story yet. So this is more of a casual read, I think, than something that would require deep thinking or, emotional investment.
Okay. And then what about how cliche is it?
Even though this book was released early on in the Chinese web novel community, we're getting the book pretty late on web novel now. So there's a lot of cliche themes that come around. So first is the traveling to a different world, as well as the arranged marriage with a beautiful girl who is good in bed. Lastly,
wait, I don't think that's a cliche. I think but yeah, that's a nice twist to the existing cliche.
There's a nice twist. And there's also the system that allows a lot of face slapping, and there's also themes from Japanese novels like Stats, right, and Doting Parents, even though he was an orphan in his previous life.
So it's like orphan is like a cliche in what's it called in Chinese web novels, and then so it's like a mix of Japanese and Chinese. You get a little bit both. You get
So it's a very casual read. Yeah, I think all these themes combined together make it a very casual read. Lastly, the translation quality is really solid. There's no major mistakes. Everything's understandable, and it really fits the theme of this novel. There's not much. There's not anything bad to say. So, judging from what you know about the story, what do you think? Would you recommend it?
I will actually give it a try because it's a novel that basically made an author from a nobody to a somebody. It's also one of the early pioneers of this type of novel. So, like before, the web novel industry got flooded with those, I have a system now, so I have to spend all the money type of novels. Yeah, so I think this is a book for people that enjoy a casual read with a system, a funny narrative, and lots of face slapping. And it's definitely one of the OG novels in this genre. So.
I agree with that. I think for people who like a little bit more substance to their plot, or like people who like to think that the turn of events in the novel are actually reasonable and not completely unrealistic, they might not enjoy this novel that much because I've even seen a couple of comments that were complaining about how dumb the plot is. But yeah, overall, like if you have nothing to read, this is a good choice.
This is a whole genre. Like there's a whole genre in China, where the readers kind of concluded to be some novel that you just read for your mind to feel good. Like you don't need to be emotionally attached to it. Like. So it's one of those novels just to relax. Yeah. So on to our next novel, Jackie. What do we have next?
No.
All right. So we have Sweet Love 1v1, spoiled by the executive. So it's a modern / romance type, and honestly, the synopsis on Webnovel doesn't do this novel justice. It's actually really good. Yeah. So it started in late 2017, and then it's 2,500 chapters, and it's finished. So each chapter is on average 600 to 800 English words, and that's about 3 to 4 spirit stones per chapter. And Yo Boy Studio, they're doing it 2 chapters per day, so that's pretty good. But in comparison, like the Rebirth novel is about 3 to 4 times faster if you count the amount of words that are released every day. So on QQ Reader, it has 1.01 million views, and then it gets about 1 collection per 1.6 views. And it's rated 8.1 star, and it gets about 1 like per 7.2 views. Yeah, so the conversion rate from views to collection and likes looks pretty good. It actually looks to be more solid than the Rebirth one. And then so as for author level, just level 5, but yeah, she's just starting off, and this is like the first long web novel she had written, and it actually is pretty good, judging by the Chinese reviews, which are extremely positive. It seems like the ending of this book and the whole journey leaves a pretty good aftertaste. So yeah, Jackie, like you read the story. What do you think?
So currently I've only gone up to chapter 38, which is the most recent chapter that the translation group released. Honestly, the story is very interesting. It's just
Wait a minute.
a warning I want to give it. There's a lot of raping going on.
Oh dang! Or you can say a snuggle was a struggle.
Yeah, but honestly though, a lot of people are complaining about the rape, and it's not even like a bad character. I think that's what's doing it is I think supposed to be the male lead. But it's a bit early in the story to say for certain that's who he is, because I think it's a bit weird. The development speed is, I think, pretty fast, pretty good. It's a well-paced story, even though the chapters are a bit short. A lot has happened in the 38 chapters. So you get introduced to the main female character's past, and then also her goals for coming back to China. So there's a revenge plot involved that I don't want to spoil too much. Also, there's a lot of intricacies. There's a lot of characters introduced, and then but overall, I think the story is really interesting, and you should give it a read if you can stomach the
Okay, how's the cliche level?
All right, so I haven't read that many female novels, but from what I can tell, and also the comments, they were talking a lot about. So there's a rich male lead.
Oh, actually, yeah. You know what? Yeah, okay, it is.
And then there's also a lot of comments complaining that there's a lot of female authors using rape as a plot device for like, I guess, starting a relationship between two characters, right?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
this author also uses that. There's also the face slapping, right? But I think this one's more well developed than the previous novels, like, you know, more like a planned kind of face slapping rather than, oh, I have more money than you.
Alright, okay. Alright. Okay, so translation quality.
Yeah. So So I think New Boy Studios didn't do as good of a job on this novel. There are a few tense issues, some misspelling, some punctuation issues. I feel like the quality between the chapters vary too. There are some that are very well done, and there are some that I think might have been done by a more inexperienced translator. But overall, it doesn't detract from the reading experience. The story itself is pretty well written and easily understandable from the translation. I think a bit more proofreading might be advised, but overall, not a big problem.
Okay, yeah, and then wait. Okay, so final opinion. Like, what would you Would you recommend reading?
This is definitely a story that's not for casual readers. I actually got invested into the story. I was a bit disappointed when I reached the 38th chapter, which is the end of the translations when I read the book. Yeah, I would recommend it. So, what do you think?
I would recommend too, because it's one of I don't get into a novel easily, but like reading the first chapter, it's one of those like few books that actually catches me right off the bat, especially because the female and the male lead they woke up in the same bed, and then the female lead saw the female lead saw the male lead was actually a high-end male prostitute and then left some money for him, right? Left her watch. Actually, no, I won't say the plot. Yeah,
wait, what's that the story?
Yeah, it's this story.
What?
Wait, what's the first chapter for you?
Some girl showed up as a screenwriter, right? For a drama. Are we reading the same book?
Wait a second.
Did we not read the same book? Whoa, dude.
I'm pretty sure. Wait. All right, you know what? Everything Jackie said is true. I would recommend this novel too. All right, we'll see you on our next episode. All right, yeah, it's gonna be a weekly thing now. So subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.